Morning, gang. What's up, Smashers? Smash Army. Hey, we're going to be talking about, man, sometimes I always think about how I lead into these videos, and I just start yapping. I should have some cool lead in, right? Maybe a little rap or breakdancing or a little song or something. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to be talking about shin splints. One of my really good friends, Jessica Gray, Jay Gray. You follow her? Jay Gray Gymnasty. She is a bad, women and children, she's just a bad A gymnast. She's savage. She's probably one of the best gymnasts around. Great coach, hell of a CrossFitter, really good friend of mine. So you should check her out. She came to me the other day and started talking to me about shin splints. She did a big run and she was getting some gnarly shin splints. And then it's like I got this flood of people asking me about shin splints. So hey, universe is saying, psst, talk about shin splints. So what I'm going to do is tell you exactly what's going on and how to clear that up, because the biggest thing is it's a ton of pain, and you get this deep ache in the shin. You get the entire lower compartment of the leg not working properly, and a lot of times there's two things going on. One, there's a mechanical problem, and two, there's tissue swelling issue, and you got to let that settle down. That tissue swelling is going to take anywhere from a week to 2 weeks to get it to settle down. So you got to understand that too. Once you get that and you get all that swelling, where it's basically it's in the interosseous membrane. So a lot of times what happens is you get that swelling between the bone and the tissue and starts to push that away. It's incredibly painful. It's like just revving up the pressure in something with no relief valve, and it doesn't wind up translating up and flushing out into the rest of the body. It just kind of stays there. And for you guys that run, and if you have a little bit of a bad gait when you're running, and I'll talk to you about that in a second, that's going to just get worse and worse. And if you keep beating it up, it's like, you get a sunburn and it's almost gone. Then you go outside and spend the entire day in the sun. You just re-burn the S out of yourself, and it never really goes away. So you look at that red stripe up there behind me. So sore today, by the way, from kneeling down like that. So what I want you to understand is that when you take the shin splints and you look at, so the muscles involved are going to be the gastroc, the soleus, that heel cord, the joint capsule of that ankle, that's a big one, and then that posterior tibialis and that anterior tibialis. So you get a lot of issues when you look at the leg, right down. Let's see if I can change this just a little bit. So we got some funky music in the background. Hopefully YouTube lets me keep this video on, because they get real weird about it. So we've got that anterior tibialis that runs down the outside of the shin. So it runs right down here. So if this is your shin, right? Don't mobilize that. You can't mobilize a bone. It's like a tendon. You can't stretch a tendon. So you stretch the tissue around the tendon. Tendons don't stretch. So you want to mobilize all this, but the problem is it gets glued down, turns into a strip of beef jerky. Most people don't even mobilize this, and it becomes like, right now I can feel mine. Even this is pretty stiff, and I mobilize a fair amount. And this is pretty savage, so it just gets really, really pissed off when you start to run. And then what happens is your heel hits, you heel strike really hard, and it decelerates the foot, and you get this slapping on the ground. Well, you do that, about 600-700 times every 800 meters? And all that just beats the snot out of this tissue. Now, if your joint range of motion is really taxed, so follow me with this. If the range of motion is there, but it's under a ton of load, so you have this beef jerky that doesn't slide really well, it doesn't really matter, because it's still going to get all beaten up. You got to make sure that it's nice and soft. Supplitude, right? It's coming in Webster's. Just trust me. Watch. And then you have the posterior tibialis that runs down through here, deep inside here. Now that's a funky one to get to. You're not going to like this one, but I promise you it's really effective. But you got to peel that away, because that runs all the way down the inside here and wraps around the bottom of the foot. So that's going to affect a lot of things, and it's going to wind up pulling and dragging your foot in, collapsing that ankle, and adding to things like navicular fault, that valgus knee. A lot of things are going to come into play, and then you guys are going to go and run, whether it's CrossFit 400 meters, 5 rounds with a bunch of crap thrown in the way that's really heavy, or you guys are running a 26-mile run. There's a lot of stuff going on. So all that stuff is getting beaten up, or just even standing on your feet all day and you're at work. So we have to unglue those. And the other thing is, with that shin splint, you're taking that anterior compartment and you're actually pulling bits of bone away from the bone. You're taking tissue and you're pulling the bits of bone away. It's called an avulsion fracture. You're taking these tiny little chips of bone. That creates insane inflammation and super, super pain. So you can get them in your forearms too, by the way. Just letting you know, see? And I'll address that on another video. And then the last thing is the hip mechanics. So you didn't see that one coming. The hip mechanics are pretty gnarly. So check this out. If you run, and I'm going to come back here. Okay, so if you run, and if you can't see me, well, sorry. Okay, that's all I got. So if you run and when you're running, you swing your foot out like this, instead of being able to take a stride this way. So there's a ball here on the ground, by the way, so I don't eat shit and fall on this video. So what happens is if you can't do this, and instead you're kicking your foot out like this because your hip mobility just blows, what you need to do is you need to open up this hip because you have this muted pelvis. So every time you run, if you look at me, when you run, you're not running like this, you're running like this. Well, this is no way to run. I mean, it's funny as heck, but it's not anything to do that's constructive or productive or it's going to help your body at all. So we need to open up the hip as well. And then the muscle we're going to hit is going to be that TFL and that rectus femoris that crosses the hip and the knee. So not only is it doing this, it's also allowing that knee to extend when you come down into that into your gait, when you bring that knee out in front of you. So if it's kicking around like this, video yourself running. You'll know it. Don't change it just because you're videoing. Listen, I got spies everywhere. I'll come and I'll find you. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you can see what you're doing, because you got to know where you are so you can get to where you're going. Does that make sense? All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to show you some really, really fugly mobility to clear out the shin splints, but I promise you this, they'll go away. You might not like me a little bit, but they'll work. So first thing you got to do is understand, like, the joint capsule is going to be stiff, tibialis anterior, tibialis posterior, gastroc, soleus, all that. Then we're going to hit that hip capsule as well, all right? So some super funky stuff. Check this out. By the way, you see I got a voodoo band here? Everything I'm doing, add a voodoo band to it, and I'll show you how. Wrap up that ankle, or wrap up that calf and that whole front of the leg, the anterior portion of that lower leg. It's like times 10 better. So we're gonna grab a lacrosse ball that I decided to chuck across the room. And if you can see, right? So I'm putting this, so I have an ab mat. The only reason I have an ab mat is because it allows the ball to stay like this, doesn't roll all over the place. You wanna be more aggressive, just flip it upside down. It's gonna drive that ball deeper into the tissue. Yeah, it's gonna hurt a lot more. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take this, what we're gonna do is we're gonna hit just, as I just say, it's gonna stay here and it takes off and checks out like that. That's how it works, it feels like a Monday. So we're gonna peel away all of this tibialis anterior. This is one of these horrific mobilities. You want to stay on the outside of the shin and just get your foot all the way on here. Yeah, that's not a good view. Let's get a better one. Yeah, how's that, huh? Isn't that better? So you got to dig that. By the way, you got to love these shirts because they say gains. That's pretty sick. I like that. It's kind of what we all want, right? Gains. Whatever we're doing, we want gains. So you're going to take your shin, start up high, just below the knee, get on that, and all you're gonna do is you're gonna lean forward and just do some circles with that foot. So I'm planting that lacrosse ball. So if you take a look, I got the lacrosse ball on the outside of the shin, tibialis anterior, and I'm just doing some circles. And I'm gonna work my way all the way down to the bottom, just above the ankle. Oh man, that gave me the sweats already. That's how bad that is. That's number one. You can use a peanut if you want and kind of trap the entire shin, get both sides, but problem is you wind up grinding away on that shin a little bit. It doesn't feel so good. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is you're gonna take the band. Now, I know the other day I did band work where it's dragging the talus in the front. Now all we're gonna do is we're gonna help instigate or mitigate some joint capsule mobility. So you wanna be able to have that band dragging this way. You're gonna load it up like crazy. There's a ton of, and you notice I'm using a big fat band. You want to make sure you want to screw your foot in, so don't let your foot collapse into that navicular fault, which some of you guys have, myself included. Oh, felt my foot slip. Imagine if I ate it here, just did one of these back falls. It's okay, I know a back fall, just smack my hand on the ground, right? So you want to bring your foot back really hard, and then all you're going to do is you're going to crank forward, keep that heel down, and make sure you're screwing your foot into the ground when you're doing that. And you're just going to grind away, and just get in like this and really scour around. This is the part people miss. Is right now I'm twisting my foot out, the band is loading up, translating a little bit, kind of peeling away that joint capsule in the back, and I'm just ungluing some of that heel cord, and I'm gonna scour around, just cleaning up that joint capsule a little bit, because the entire mechanical system needs to work if you've got shin splints. Trust me, it's not just one thing. That's number two. Now let's take a barbell. This is the awful one. So we're gonna hit that heel cord because we're missing dorsiflexion, plantar flexion. It's very, very gristly. When we go through that range of motion, it's like grinding away through just beef jerky trying to get that to work. So we need to unglue the heel cord and the calf and the tibialis anterior and the tibialis posterior and all the other surrounding structures so we can get everything cleaned up. Now, by the way, if it's super inflamed and irritated, go easy on this stuff, okay? So you're gonna grab a barbell. You're gonna tuck it in here, and some of you guys have seen this before, and you're just gonna sit on it. So right now I'm trapping the barbell between the calf and my hamstrings. I'm gonna grab it and I'm just gonna row. Oh, this is horrendous. And I'm gonna work my way all the way down. That's number 3. Well, that one gave me the sweats. That's pretty funky. Now check this out. In this position, I don't even need to change. I'm just gonna move this stuff out of the way so I don't bite it on this bar. Bar rolls towards me, of course, right? Murphy's Law. But you see how my feet are tucked in underneath my butt? We're gonna peel away that tibialis anterior. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lean back and I'm just gonna bring my knees up. So I am stretching all of this tissues on the front, including the ankle. And I'm just gonna try and push away. 1, 2, 3, and then relax. I'm gonna come back, push away. 1, 2, 3, and then relax. Whoa. Man, I think I need more of this stuff. I didn't realize how stiff and sticky the tissue was until I did this. All right, so that's number 4. And then number 5, so normally I would have a bench here, but we're gonna have to do a little switch around. So bear with me. See if I can get this on a J-hook for you. There we go. Can you see that? Yeah, you can. Check that out. Look at that, it's like first try. So we're gonna take a bench. I don't care what kind of bench you use. I just wanna make sure, spin it around like this. Easier to sit like this. You wanna be able to take your leg, hang it off the side because you're gonna be moving this ankle. You're gonna take the lacrosse ball. You're gonna find that this one's gonna hurt. Just telling you right now, sorry. You're gonna grind away on this posterior tibialis that's tucked in behind here. You're gonna get in between the front of the calf and the shin. And you're gonna take the ball and you're just gonna push it in there. And then you're just, holy monkey. And then you're gonna do the same thing all the way down. All the way down. So what you're doing is you're taking that tissue all in here. And this is on the inside of the shin. This is the spot people miss. And you're hitting that posterior tibialis and you're just grinding away and ungluing all this stuff while taking the foot through a range of motion. All right, that's number, 4 or 5. I don't know where we're at. There's a lot of stuff. We got one more though. And this is the important one. You guys are gonna go, holy crap, I would have never thought. I know it's a longer video, but trust me, this is important stuff. There. Remember what I said? A lot of problems with the front of the hip because people have this gait where they kick out like this instead of stepping forward like that. Well, here's an easy way to clear a lot of that up. Instead of get all fancy, you don't have to do a ton of little stretches. Just do the couch stretch. Get down. You're gonna hit the psoas, the iliacus, the rectus femoris. You're gonna get that foot. So this foot here is cranked, if you can see it off to the side, it's cranked all the way up against the wall. What I don't want you to do is really arch out your back because you know what you're doing? 2 things, jack and nothing. So you're just gonna take yourself, hollow out, suck your tummy in, squeeze your butt as hard as you can, and then just hang out like this for how long? Yeah, 2 minutes. And you're gonna feel that all through here. Let it open up the hips because the problem is the hips are really muted, so you keep swinging around instead of coming straight up. That's gonna translate into bad mechanics down into the bottom of the foot. Now there's a ton of stuff. I could probably do an entire seminar on shin splints and why they happen, but that's the basics. That'll help unglue all this stuff. Now, I said I was gonna show you how to use the voodoo band as well. So, see, you thought I forgot. Don't forget. You're gonna take the voodoo band. Compression is gold for shin splints. So even if you just get the voodoo band on here and go through some ranges of motion, that'll make a huge difference. So you start low, all you're gonna do is wrap it up, cinch it up, all the way, front and back this time. And you're gonna go all the way through the entire shin, trap that calf, trap that tibialis anterior. Everything I did, minus the couch stretch, is stuff you can do. Tuck your thumb in under here, and then just take that knot, that piece of the end, tuck it in there. Now I got the voodoo band trapping the entire thing. Instant compression right off the bat. I mean, seriously, all I have to do is, I could easily just sit here and do circles with my foot. It's that, it looks like if you would have heard the music, God, you'd start laughing right now. Because I actually did that to the beat of the music. Totally unintentional. But you could sit here and all you have to do is take it through ranges of motion. That's not that big of a deal, but there's so much more you can do. Every one of these mobilities we did, you can do this voodoo band on. Don't keep it on for longer than 2-3 minutes because well, it's just a long time to compress tissue and your body doesn't really like it. All right, so that's how you handle shin splints. Jay Gray, you better do it. I know you well enough. I'll make you do all kinds of stuff, no matter what kind of a gymnast you are. Hey, I'm Trev, SmashweRx, Shin Splints, hip mechanics, ankle mobility. I'll see you guys tomorrow.